This episode of Health Vibes is brought to you by the brand you trust the most, Jolly's Pharmacy Limited, leading the way in healthcare.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollys.dm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollys.dm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollys.dm features rush delivery 1 hour, in-store pickup, regular delivery 5 p.m. Cut-off time 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollys.dm. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Jolly's Pharmacy presents a new and innovative radio program, Health Vibes. Health Vibes. Every Wednesday morning on Q95 FM. Health Vibes, hosted by Carlton Lando and Pearl Fontaine Butler. Health Vibes from 10:15 to 11 a.m. It's not just your average talk show. It's appealing and educational with a bit of humor. Real vibes on your health. Now, that's the vibe. Health Vibes on Q95. Every Wednesday from 10:15 to 11 a.m. with Pearl and Carlton. Tune in.
Welcome to Health Vibes, Dominica's most foremost program on health, medicine, nutrition, and wellness, featuring the latest news on conventional and alternative medicine and healthcare. Now, here's your host, Carlton Lando, and co-host, Pearl Fontaine Butler.
Good morning to you, Dominica, and to all our wonderful listeners throughout Dominica, the Caribbean, and the world. I mean, QFM is listened everywhere. Everybody's talking about health vibes, and we are so happy this sunny Wednesday to be connecting with you, whether you are on the farm, whether you are driving people in and through Roseau, whether you're at your desk, just on the computer doing some work. We are really happy to be sharing some amazing health information with you today. Let me begin by saying as well, a good big thank you to the health team in Salisbury for a wonderful it was a community clinic that we did last week, and to all the people from Salisbury who turned out and supported this endeavor. We really want to say it was great being and working among good people in Salisbury. Pearl, good morning.
Good morning, Carlton. Listen, when you said, good morning, Dominica, it's sunny. It's sunny today. I wanted to ask you, where were you this morning? Because it was pouring down on me.
I think the sun was just washing its eye,
Okay, that's a good way of looking at it. So good morning to you, listeners. Good morning, Dominica. We have a special guest in studio this morning, Lisa Jolly, Dr. Lisa Jolly, the daughter of Mr. Anderson Jolly, is here with us, and we're going to be discussing food. Everything in relation to food. And we're really happy to have her. Good morning.
Definitely.
To you, Lisa. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. I hope that I can get everyone to change their diet today. So I'm going to talk a lot about food. If you have any questions concerning food, I'm also going to teach you how to read nutrition labels, which are found on, most processed foods. So I hope that at the end of our session, that you can learn something about food that will help change your diet, your lifestyle, and make you live a healthier life.
Definitely.
So if you have any questions, you can call in at 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, or on the overseas line 305-432-9624. And you can also join our live streaming. You can go to www.q95da.com and click on the YouTube video stream icon or player. There you will be able to see us live and direct. So today we'll begin with a news item and then head straight into our discussion, as we have lots of areas to cover this morning. So are omega-3s linked to lower risk for fatal heart attack? A new research review published on Health Day News suggested that regularly eating fish and other foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids may lower your risk of fatal heart disease. Senior study author Dr. Darius Mozaffarian, Dean of the Friedman School of Nutrition, Science and Policy at Tufts University in Boston, said, "Our results lend support to the importance of fish and omega-3 consumption as part of a healthy diet." He further stated that at a time when some but not other trials of fish oil supplementation have shown benefits, there is uncertainty about cardiovascular effects of omega-3s, Mozaffarian said in a university news release. Fish are the main dietary sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Fatty fish such as salmon, trout, anchovies, sardines, and herring are the richest source of these nutrients. So should our diet contain more fatty acids, and what are the benefits of incorporating fatty acids into our diet? Dr. Jolly, maybe you can, assist us there.
I agree that our diet should contain more fatty acids, but what they're saying is that healthy fatty acids probably are better. And we know this from salmon. Salmon is an oily fish, as well as sardines and herring. So it's better if those nutrients come from your food than if they come from a tablet or a capsule. And so incorporating those foods into your diet is better.
And I think as well too, many people seem to be gravitating towards the fatty acids as more and more people are buying flaxseed oil. You're seeing the people buying the omega-3 6 and 9s, and people are using them for so many benefits, from Alzheimer's disease to rheumatoid arthritis. People using them for to lower the LDLs, the bad cholesterol. People are using them to reduce inflammations in the body. There have been so many benefits, and more the studies seem to be more extensive in terms of a comprehensive review of the benefits that omega-3 has on the body. And the good thing is that the omega-3 is rich is very rich. You can either get it from plant-based, and you can get it from seafoods, and so you even from walnuts you can get the omega-3 sources, and almonds. And so more and more we are promoting those types of foods that people use them preferably in their raw state rather than using them laced with salt or sugars on them. Some people like the nuts, the cashews and so forth, but they might want a little pinch of salt or sugar on them. And so we're really advocating that those should be taken in their raw state.
Wonderful. So the global epidemic of obesity is taking over many parts of the world and represents a major public health challenge. It's getting worse for children, adolescents, and adults alike. Not only are we seeing climbing body weights, but we are also seeing more and more bulging waistlines, which is indicative of the dangerous belly fat that surrounds our organs. While researching, I came across an article that stated supplementing with omega-3 fish oil seems to be a safe, inexpensive, and effective option that can help us prevent and treat this serious health concern. But as Dr. Jolly and Carlton just stated, we should strive to get the omega-3s from our diets more so than supplementation. But even before treating obesity, there are several obesity-related conditions. What are the most recent stats for Dominica, Dr. Jolly?
Recently, I attended the Dominica Diabetes Association, the annual meeting, and they had a very good speaker, Dr. Jureb, who came in from Barbados, and he spoke about the fact that there is an obesity epidemic in Dominica, that up to at least I think between 1/3 of women.
Yes, to every 5 women, 3 are obese.
And for men, about 50%.
To every 5 men, 2 are obese.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a grave concern. Also, when we look at the stats concerning diabetes, which is largely diet and obesity related, it's equally surprising. Recently, there's an article about amputations when it comes to diabetes. Also, we know that there are a lot of people who utilize the dialysis services at the hospital. And most of those folks who are on dialysis have one of two conditions: diabetes or high blood pressure. And all of these are obesity related and diet related. And so in a country whereby our healthcare is largely paid for by the government, really and truly we should look more into preventive measures as a way of addressing the obesity epidemic and a lot of these health conditions, rather than looking towards these new technologies to address these obesity-related conditions.
But even so, I mean, Lisa, Dr. Charlie was with us last week during that clinic in Salisbury. And one of the things that we are getting almost as a common language is that when we do screen people for the BMI, many people are in denial. They don't want to accept the weight that was measured. They have this notion that people are going to say they're mega. So if you say, well, your ideal weight is supposed to be between that mean, they don't want to accept that, especially the women. They feel, well, to be big is sexier. You know, they don't want to lose weight in this area and that area, and they don't recognize that it's a bigger picture. And I always say, well, you look this way now, give yourself another year. By next year, if you were to come here, you're going to be another 25 pounds more. And guess what? Your chances, your risk factors are higher. And so we may get all nice readings now with the blood pressure and the glucose levels, but in a year time, we might see difference. And that means you're going to now have to dig in your pocket to buy medications and may have to use them for life. So, I mean, what do you prefer? You have to put yourself first and stop thinking about what people are going to think of me losing this amount of weight, and especially the women. The men will normally would be adherent and say, well, you know what, yeah, I think I need to do something.
Well, I think that's because there's this perception in the Caribbean that if you're a bigger woman, then you're more beautiful. Men tend to like curvy women in the Caribbean, and also weight is also associated with progress and certain wealth. You know, so there's this misconception that the bigger you are, the better off you are. However, we are seeing now that the bigger you are, the more medical problems you are.
That's
prone to having.
Yeah. So if the men in Dominica or in the Caribbean were to say, you know what, we want healthy women,
right,
then maybe then the women would probably be more willing to look at their weight and their lifestyle as a major issue. But also men need to take in consideration that yes, you may prefer a bigger woman. I don't know for what reason, but take note that she's gonna be sick younger,
right?
And you know she has all these medical conditions. Then that's your bill to pay.
And will you want to remain?
I also have to disagree with that level of thinking that I'm going to put on weight to please a man. I'm not doing that. I'm not making myself unhappy or sickly to please somebody else, to please a culture that says I'm supposed to be overweight and be unhealthy at the same time. You know, the health of a nation is its wealth. So if I'm overweight, and if 3 out of 5 women are overweight, guess what? The productivity level in the country goes down.
Right.
How are we going to move the country forward when all of us are overweight and we can't pull up our own weight? Well, we can't push up our own weights. It makes no sense to me.
Well, right now there's an article I read not too long ago that says now abnormal has become the norm.
Yeah.
So 2/3 of people are now in the overweight and obese category. Only 1/3 of people might be in normal weight. And so being overweight and obese has become the norm. And then you have a small subset of folks who are in the morbidly obese, which is the folks whose BMI or body mass index is more than 40. And certainly that category is associated with the increased risk of the obesity-related diseases such as diabetes and high blood pressure. And even though their blood sugar and their blood pressure may be normal when you screen them, it's inevitable. It's really just a matter of time before those values, those numbers change. And so taking those preventive steps to stay healthy and to maintain a healthy weight is so much more important.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, and you know, the fact of the matter is that when you do talk to people, they like a lot of meat. You know, people still want to laden their plate with 5 and 4 pieces of meat. They will go to a place and they will say they want this bigger chicken and make noise. Why you give me that small piece of meat? You know, why you don't give me more rice? Why don't you, and these are the things that we need to revise, the food portions, the food quality, the consistency of whatever we eating. If you like a particular food, how often you're going to be eating it? What amount are you going to be taking? And the food choice as well.
Right.
What rather are you going to fry rather than maybe grill or steam? So these are things that we talk to people a lot of the time. I mean, many people, you'd be amazed, Pearl, the amount of our local residents that seem to be, quote unquote, addicted to bread. Some people tell you just cannot do without bread.
You can't stop eating bread. It's become a way of life. You see the bread shops all the time. People are driving past and they're stopping to buy bread.
Well, that's one of our major issues, and every culture and every society has this one carb that they stick to. But if folks want to lose weight, then staying away from what I refer to as the white stuff is super important. So that's the white bread, the white rice, the white sugar, and the white pasta, because those items are more refined. And so white bread, white sugar, all of these things cause a spike in your blood sugar, and eating them over a considerable amount of time will cause you to gain weight, particularly in the belly area. And also, if you have all these diabetes and high blood pressure, those things will increase your risk of developing these conditions. So staying away from the white stuff and targeting more the less refined stuff, such as the brown bread, if you must. And when I say brown bread, I mean 100% brown bread. Some of the bakeries may put in, they do half brown and half white. So going after 100% brown bread is better. Also, brown sugar and brown. If you use macaroni, then you can use the whole wheat pasta. So that's much better for your body and for your health.
And you find too that a lot of the elderly people, and they eat a lot of carbs, a lot of the starchy diets, so the ground provisions and a lot of meat, and sometimes no vegetables, no salads. So that's a concern as well. And I was laughing when you were talking about the foods that we eat, because I have my grandmother at home, and if I cook and I give her vegetables, salad, wild rice, or or some chicken or fish or whatever it is, she will say, no, what you give me then? It's so funny, right? But there's a bit of everything. So she has a bit of every food group, her peas, everything. But let her cook, she'll just have her ground provision and her meat, and that's it. And she's satisfied with that.
So wrong. So one of the things we're going to discuss later is the healthy eating plate. But just to speak about it just a little bit, our meals really should be based around our fruits and vegetables rather than the starchy or the meat portion. So
all right, let's take this call.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, and you?
How is Carlton?
I am doing good, my friend.
Very well. There was a group of people, well, not group, a couple who came down, and they were advertising healthy lifestyle, and they were giving alternative to certain medicines, like natural medicines and so. And they had it in powdery form and all this type of stuff. And of course, I say, well, I'll always give a try to those type of things as long as it's natural stuff. Anyway, in that process, they advise not to eat whole wheat bread. And I'm hearing now that people should not eat white bread. She said, if you're going to eat the bread, it's better to eat white bread than whole wheat bread. Especially if you are suffering, like I am, from high blood pressure. So I am a little bit confused. As a matter of fact, she said something about the wheat in the bread causes some kind of whatever it is. I can't quite remember. But I would like to maybe you can expound on that a little bit for me, please. Very good program, though. Very appreciative that program.
So there is a lot of information out there about the food that we eat, and certainly,
different claims.
Yeah, you can go crazy just reading or listening to all the different opinions or all the information. But eating healthy, eating well
is in moderation.
Is in moderation, but it's also very simple. Fruits and vegetables are always good, and eating fruits in their raw form or in their least processed form. So if you were even to do a juice, then that's okay. There is no need to eat products that are in powder form. I would look at the label and see what's in it, how I encourage
preservatives are, yeah.
I usually encourage people not to think about what their food has been through before you put it on the plate. And if that has been too much or you don't understand the process, then just leave it alone. So, if there is a fruit or vegetable and they say, well, we have this drink, and we'll talk a little bit about that later with the fad diets, it's better to just eat your mango and your guava that you pick from your tree. In reference to the white bread and the wheat bread, if you could stay away from bread in general, that would be great. But there's some folks who don't think that they can live without bread. White flour is the processed flour, and once you eat it, it usually causes a spike in your blood, sugar. So the wheat flour is less processed. So if you have to eat bread, then the whole wheat bread is better. There's some breads out there that are made from more exotic flours as well that might be even more healthy, but certainly whole wheat bread is better than your white bread. And if you have any questions or concerns, and you could just stay away from bread. I try to do that because you can get your carbs and your starches from other sources that we have available locally. Your breadfruit, your pumpkin, if we have eggplant, all of those things have carbs and starch in it. So there really isn't any reason that we have to eat bread.
And for the people who feel that they cannot do without it, if you find that your body has any sensitivities to it and you've been ignoring it for so long. So I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and she said, Pearl, if I eat bread, I have to hold, when I go to use the bathroom, I have to hold the two sides of the wall in order to pass my stool. I laughed at the time because I understood what she was going through, because with me, if you have sensitivities to bread, cut it out. Like, seriously, you should love yourself more than the bread.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes it's a mental thing for some people, but it's not that easy. As Dr. Jolly said, it's quite simple.
Yeah, white bread to a certain extent can cause constipation.
Oh, yeah.
So some people have to do the whole wheat, and they know that. So there's no.
Let's take a caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Hey, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Morning, Pearl, good morning.
Good morning.
And your guests.
Good morning.
Yes, I wanted to touch on early on the conversation with omega-3s.
Yes.
And that you can get it in fish and certain other plant-based foods. Now, there is one thing that we have here called, we grow it here. It's called purslane. I don't know if you all heard of that.
No, I have not.
Yes, it's sold in the market. You can get it on Saturdays. It's very rich in omega-3. And it is something that you could basically use for salad, or sometimes even just juice it. Yeah, it is this green sticky kind of leaf that grows a purple flower. You can maybe do research on it and find out it's very high in dietary fiber and vitamins and minerals, but also has a lot of omega-3. I think it is one of the plants that have the most omega-3 in all the plant-based foods. Yeah, so you can do a little research on that. It's purslane. It's spelled I think Purslane. Yes, so you can do a little research on that, so you can kind of prove what I'm saying. Anyway, have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you, so. But one of the things about, I remember being at a workshop last year as well, and the talk came up about bread as well, and the nutritionist who was the guest at speaker said all bread is bread. All bread is bread, whether it's white, whether it's brown, and bread is fat. When you think of bread, it's sugar, it's fat. You think of all the things that is placed in bread. And now you have butter bread. I mean, I lived on St. Kitts, they make pork bread, they make lard bread, they make all different types of bread. It's all about the taste and what people are looking for. And I think as Dr. Jolly said, I think the option is, if you really can reduce the amount of bread and the frequency of bread that you have, is the better for you. And like everything else, we talk about moderations, we talk about portions. So I really don't think, if you do have a wholesome breakfast, you get up in the morning, you have a cup of tea or whatever it is, you have a bowl of cereal, you may decide to make a salad, you may decide to put a sardine in there. You really don't need bread. you know, and
Right.
you have a fruit bowl or a fruit afterwards.
And that's enough.
Yeah, that's enough. So you really don't have to do the bread every day.
And expand your stomach. You don't
Yes,
have to do that.
you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
So, Dr. Jolly, I'd like to ask you something though. A lot of us, you know, who are, let's say, overweight or obese, I shouldn't even say a lot of us, but, you know, there are some people who are interested in fad diets. You know, what is a fad diet?
So a fad diet is one of these diets you either hear it on the TV or radio. One of those, you know, they're marketed pretty heavily. They usually promise really quick weight loss. They usually involve the purchase of something, such as a drink. Usually comes in powder form. Whether you have to sometimes make a shake or you have to buy a blender to make these smoothies. They promise that little or no effort is needed, so you don't need to exercise. They eliminate certain food groups, so sometimes they eliminate carbs or they eliminate protein from the diet completely. They usually require you to purchase pills or supplements. They state that some foods are superfoods. Also, you find that you get people who give a testimonial about their weight loss rather than based on really scientific research. And right now there's a juicing diet that you can do. Also, they have various powders sometimes that you can use as meal replacements, either in the form of a shake or sometimes it comes in sometimes a bar, you know, that you have to use.
So, what are the dangers of fad diets? Or are there any dangers?
There are dangers of fad diet. Certainly, it's not healthy to sometimes eliminate a total food group. So to eliminate carbs or protein from your diet completely, apart from sometimes being unrealistic, it's just not healthy, especially depending on your current state or your medical condition. Also, it doesn't give you a realistic picture of what it is to eat healthy. And I always explain that the if you decide to use a fat diet, it's usually for a certain amount of time.
Right.
So it usually causes some significant weight loss. However, during that time, you need to figure out exactly how you're going to maintain that weight loss.
That's true.
And what a healthy diet constitutes.
That's true.
So if you just learn what constitutes a healthy diet from the get-go and stick to it, then it's far more sustainable or long-lasting if you were to just eat healthy regularly rather than do these powders or shakes or drinks or whatever fancy stuff it is.
Okay, so how beneficial is juicing in addition to eating healthy?
Juicing is fine, but realistically, do we eat our fruits and vegetables as juice or we eat them as food?
Fruits.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes these diets, what they do is that they remove the fiber from the food, and so it's always, when you eat a fruit or vegetable, you eat it in combination with the fiber,
Right.
which has added benefits in terms it helps to keep you full. It also helps with your bowel function. So there are benefits to eating the food as a whole rather than as a juice.
Okay.
And then is it sustainable to simply drink juice for any significant period of time? It's not realistic. You have to eat solid food.
Right.
So I think it's safe to say that we can go straight into what a healthy diet is.
So one of the things that I wanted to discuss was the healthy eating plate. And these are available online. So you can go online and you can type in the healthy eating plate. And there are lots of diagrams as to what it looks like. The healthy eating plate is 8 to 9 inches in diameter. Yes. So you need to probably measure the size of your plate to make sure, because some of the plates now are just too big.
Okay.
So the smaller your plate is, the less food you put on it.
Right.
And so the less you eat. The next part is that half of your plate, 50% of your plate is supposed to be fruits and vegetables. The more colors, the better. The more variety, the better. And so that's what it means to think about your fruits and your vegetables first. So your diet is based on your fruits and vegetables, not on your meat or your rice. So lots of fruits and vegetables, better. And potatoes and French fries are not fruits or vegetables. The next quarter of your plate would be whole grains. So these would be like your whole grain pasta, macaroni, your brown rice, but you want to limit other stuff like white rice and white bread. Now in Dominica, we have such an abundance of whole grains. We have pumpkin, we have eggplant, we have what else can we put on there? We have plantain, we have all the various starches. But sometimes we just put too much.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have the white rice and we have the full complement of ground provisions. No. So probably just choose one or two. And that could be
True.
your whole grain.
True.
And so that's better. And I prefer plant-based or locally produced foods over anything that's imported, which would be the white rice.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
and then in the other quarter of your plate would be your healthy protein. So fish, which is abundant, chicken, locally produced, beans and nuts. You want to limit red meat, such as if you choose beef, cheese, and certainly avoid the processed meats such as bacon or the cold cuts or any processed meats like
sausages.
Yes, because those are heavily laden with saturated fat and salt. They are preserved in salt, and so that's going to put you at risk for high blood pressure. So fish, chicken, beans. And of note, take note that there could be one day where you don't do any meat at all.
That's it. Yeah.
And there's a there's a goal called the Meatless Monday.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you say that to folks, it's like, they're like, are you speaking a foreign language?
Right,
No, there can be a day where you don't eat any meat at all, and that's okay.
No, I agree with that. I
too.
remember trying to cook, well, not trying, I did cook a vegetarian pumpkin soup, and it had everything natural in it, and I gave my grandmother some, and she said, it was so funny, I couldn't stop laughing that day. She said, don't ever do that to me again. But she said, in fact, jamais fait mon ça encore. Like, where's the meat? How can you cook a soup without meat? And I laughed, I couldn't stop laughing. I said, Mom, but this is really good for you. Can I tell you that the spoon was hitting the side of the plate because she was eating all, but she was complaining throughout eating the whole entire thing. But it feels good
It
not
does.
to have meat sometimes. It does.
Yeah.
Your body just feels like it's not overworked.
Yeah, you will feel, if you do a vegetarian or sometimes vegan diet, you will feel significantly better after a couple of days. So it's okay not to have meat, because meat is it's an animal fat. It's saturated fat. So you can still get the protein and the fat from plant-based
your
foods.
legumes, yeah.
Your beans have protein in it.
That's
You could have
right.
lentils.
That's
If
right.
you want a good fats, would include, for example, local avocados, and those are better for you. So staying away from staying away from meat for a couple of days will not kill you.
You know, a lot of us tend to go out to eat, buy foods out. Should home cooking be encouraged more? And at what point does eating out become okay?
Well, you should always try to cook at home, because if you cook at home, then you know what's in your food. When you eat out, sometimes you don't know what's in the food.
But
That's
what
true.
about for the people who are not disciplined in eating a healthy diet? So if they cook at home, they'll probably just cook their ground provision and meat, and then that's it. So how do we ensure that if we're cooking at home, we're conscious of what we're eating?
Well, you have to be willing to make that change, and certainly delegating that responsibility to someone else. They're not going to make sure that there's fruits and vegetables on the plate either.
Right.
They're going to cook, or they're going to prepare the food in such a way that it tastes good, and that you come back. But it's not really meant for nutrition. When we eat and we put stuff into our body, we should be thinking about nutrition and how to make ourselves healthier and better. I tell folks, sometimes we spend so much money, on the clothes, the shoes, the cars, but we really need to invest our money in our food, because food is your medicine. And when we buy cheap food, we're not thinking about the additional cost of the medicine, the doctor's appointments, the labs, and the inconvenience of having to go through that. So for the folks who have these medical conditions, it's such an inconvenience and such an expense. So if we were to take that money and invest it in purchasing and eating good food, then we'd just be so much better off.
That's a great point.
I wanted to pitch in to you. Many times people say, I mean, yes, they know that they should be eating healthier foods. Their doctors have spoken to them. Other healthcare providers have given them advice. However, the healthier foods are so expensive, and it's very difficult for them to maintain a budget buying those types of foods. So they might say, well, you need to reduce the amount of, processed milks or evaporated milks that you might be taking, and use a soy-based or almond milk. But the average person cannot maybe afford the almond milk so often. What is your advice? I mean, are there practical things that people can use to make? So, for example, walk us through, walk our listeners through an example of a healthy breakfast that is inexpensive, or a healthy lunch that is inexpensive.
Okay, so here's one of the things. You can actually get free food because it's actually free to plant and grow the food in your backyard. Yes, it's inconvenient and it's time consuming, but realistically, you can get free food in your yard. And there is, Dominica just really has availability. There's an abundance of food. Sometimes we have mangoes and breadfruits that are just laying on the ground. It's food. So one of the things that you can do is that you can have a backyard garden where you can spend some time in the afternoon growing some food. It could be lettuce. It could be, if you want to grow other types of food, that's fine. But it can be free. The second thing is that we say, well, good food is expensive, but realistically, cheap food is expensive. It's just that we're not paying upfront for the cost of the cheap food.
But later down.
But later down, then you have the doctor's appointments, you have the inconvenience, and you have
all the blood tests,
and you have the medication to buy that you have to pay out of pocket for. So really and truly, just buying good food that's going to make you feel good and function better is far more important. So you mentioned, like, if you want to do a breakfast. So let's say let's start with something simple, like you have an egg. Let's say, okay, we could do oats. Local, you could make it with local cinnamon, not nutmeg. And instead of purchasing the fancy milks like the almond milk and whatnot, how about you just use some coconut milk?
Yes.
You can get a dry coconut, you can break it, and you can make some coconut milk. And that's it's far healthier for you.
It's a lot more work, but it's healthier.
It's healthier.
That's where you get your omega-3 6 and 9 right there too.
Yeah.
In your coconut.
So you can use coconut milk, and actually some of the products that's marketed that are healthy really are not that. After the amount of processing they've been through, they're really not that healthy. So using locally produced stuff that you can use to make up your breakfast is far better.
I wanted to point out, last week I had a fruit bowl from Jolly's, and one of the things I found very interesting about this fruit bowl was that there was a little piece of cane, sugar cane, there was coconut, and there were prunes.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, I've never had coconut in a fruit bowl before, but very interesting.
Very.
And I understood what that was about.
And those are sold each day, they're replenished. You have free and fresh batches every day.
Dr. Jolly, is it true that you should eat your fruits first and then everything else?
I to be honest with you, I really don't care where you eat it, as long as you do.
That's true.
Where fruits are half of your meal. It's also a great healthy snack.
Okay.
So instead of having some of the processed stuff that we sell on the at the supermarkets and stuff like that, having a locally produced fruit is far better as a healthy snack. And your local mango that you pick off the tree, or local guava, is far better than your imported grapes or apples.
Yes. Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
All right, thank you. Good morning to your panel.
Yes.
Is there any benefit in moving from white bread to crackers? A lot of people move from white bread to crackers.
Same
I want to know, another thing I want to know, which one is better? You eat your food and you drink, or you eat your food and you wait a little while and then drink?
Okay, good question.
I want to know. Now about the bread, it's really true, because I cut down bread for about 2 weeks. And shirts I could not put. I'm going to be touching them now. My stomach closed. so I believe that white bread, I said it's not so good for us. But because it's available.
It's cheap.
And it's cheap. So, and you have people with 7 children, 5 children. So they have to use that because we have to survive. So I believe that's my question for today.
Thank
you very much, Kola.
Dr. Jolly?
Oh, so regardless of whether it comes in a bread form or cookie form, it's still white flour.
Yes.
So the white cracker is, it's still white stuff that you should avoid. And
they're making whole wheat now. So I think there's now a multi-grain cracker, and then there is that one has oats in it, and wheat and something else. So they have now a variety. I think they're free now. So you have the white, and then you have a multi-grain, and then you have another one that is new. And so many people are now, I think, so the nutritionists are recommending them, but they are still advising people on the portions.
Yes.
Because one of the things about crackers, even for me, I consume crackers home too. You find yourself eating way less crackers. The average person carries a full pack of crackers at one time. So you'd find yourself consuming maybe 4 or 5 crackers with whatever meat kind or base that you have, compared to you would have eaten maybe a bread and a half at one time. So you find that the portions are better controlled. Yes, you get the same amount of carbs. You're getting carbs in there, but I think the strategy is that people end up consuming less.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be great? This is just a thought, and you don't even have to answer it. But wouldn't it be great if every supermarket, if every person just decided to cease importing all of the white goods, all of the things that weren't good for us? It would force us to change.
Yes.
To really change. But I mean, it would be drastic, but that would just be amazing. But I am excited because we're coming down to the end of our show. But Dr. Jolly brought in a bottle of juice, right? And she's going to teach us how to read the label, and she's going to tell us what the different things indicate and how to, the meaning of it. So let's go.
I think being able to read a nutrition label is just really essential to everybody's health. However, it's something that few people know how to do, and actually the food industry knows that.
Right. But people don't take the time to do it either.
No, I just pick up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to focus on one particular ingredient here, and it's sugar.
Okay.
I'm going to pick on sugar today. So I'm going to need your help a little bit, Pearl, because I want you to learn how to do this as well.
Okay.
So when we look at the nutrition facts, one of the things you ought to look for is the serving size. Because all the information is based on the serving size. Now, the serving size of this bottle is 8 ounces or 240 mils. However, the total bottle, which is usually what you would drink if you bought such a drink, is actually 16 ounces.
So it's twice.
Yeah, so there are two servings in there, right?
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And it says that servings about 2. It tells you the number of calories, which is 120. Now, if you go to the gym and you go on one of those treadmills, right, and you go to work out until you lost 120 calories, then you would figure out how much it is to lose just really one serving, and make you think twice about whether or not you ought to drink it.
Yes.
Yeah, but it takes about an hour. Walking at a pretty fast speed to lose about 100 calories. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So, if we look here at the sugar, how many grams of sugar is it?
Per serving.
Okay.
28.
So there,
28 grams.
28 grams.
So there are 28 grams of sugar
You have to multiply it by 2
in one serving. So there's a total of 56 grams of sugar
in this bottle.
So no one usually knows exactly what a gram looks like.
Yes.
But we do know what a teaspoon looks like.
Right.
So in order to figure out exactly how many teaspoonfuls of sugar in this 16-ounce bottle, what we do is we divide it by 4. So I'm gonna get my calculator, but I can estimate it. Yeah, if someone has a calculator. So you divide 56 by 4, and that will tell you how many teaspoonfuls of sugar is in this entire bottle.
56 divided by 4. Okay, let's get the answer. 56 divided by 4. What's wrong?
I'm still stunned because here I am reading this label, and I would have ignored.
14.
So there are 14 teaspoonfuls of sugar in this one bottle.
14 teaspoonfuls.
Wow.
So
That's a lot of sugar.
yeah. So what I say is that, usually go home, count out 14 teaspoonfuls of sugar, and then figure out if you made your juice at home, if you would put if you put that amount of sugar in there. The other way you can tell about the sugar is to look at the ingredients. So I want you to read out. So of note, the first 3 to 5 ingredients usually that's what the juice or the beverage contains the most.
Okay, so it says water, sugar, mango puree concentrate, guava puree concentrate, fruit juices from concentrate, so pineapple, orange, lime, passion, papaya puree, citric acid, artificial flavor.
Okay, so there's actually, in this bottle, there's actually more water and sugar than there is of the fruit, than the fruit juice.
That's why it says it's only 1 gram of fiber.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of that sugar, so it's really not benefiting us.
And they still use the sugar as preservative along with the citric acid.
Well, okay, so I have a question. I went to the supermarket the other day, and my husband said, I'm a fish eater. So he said, why don't you try this salmon? So when I looked at the ingredients, I thought, listen, there's actually a lot of salt in here, but I got to some words that I couldn't even pronounce. And I was thinking, okay, I'm definitely not eating this. But coming to think of it, fish in a packet means that there are a lot of other stuff in there just to preserve it. As you said, the sugars to preserve it. I remember that. How healthy can that be?
Well, I encourage, whenever you buy something or you're going to buy something, especially when it comes to food, you think about what that product goes through before it gets to your table. And that's why I advocate, and that's why everyone's advocating for locally produced foods. Because if you think of it, salmon does not grow in the Caribbean Sea.
Right, that's right.
So it's fish somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, or there are farms on the east coast of the United States. So they farm, some of these fish is farm raised, where they fed sometimes corn. So once they get big enough, then they cut up, they are processed, they are stored in salt or whatever else it is that they put in there for however long. Then they have to be shipped to the Caribbean. Then they sit.
The temperature itself affects the quality of the food.
And then they travel.
Yeah, and then you buy it and you might leave it in your freezer for maybe another week or two before you actually even cook it to eat it. So by the time the food reaches to your plate,
consistency is shit.
It has no nutritional value whatsoever. So it's probably better for you to pick a mango or guava on your tree and eat that rather than have some having the fish or some coconut water or something like that. Because the amount of processing that the food has to go through before it reaches the Caribbean.
I wanted to throw a question on you.
Yeah.
In pregnancy, many women get cravings, and sometimes the cravings can be quite weird. I've heard of women eating dirt and women eating weird things. Some women, they really do not have a balanced meal or diet whilst they're pregnant, and their cravings and then might make them eat a lot of the unhealthy stuff. What advice, how do they curb that, and how do they discipline themselves?
How do they counteract it?
Right, to get back in line with a healthy diet for the benefit of the baby?
Well, one of the things, we should make sure first that they don't have a medical condition. For example, anemia might give you a craving for weird stuff like ice or dirt. So they want to make sure from their doctors that they don't have anything else going on that's causing these strange cravings. But the pregnancy starts before you get pregnant. And so really and truly, you should be consuming a healthy diet even before you get pregnant, so that when you do, that baby has all the nutrients that he or she needs. If you have to think of not just yourself, but the baby, that's growing inside you, then hopefully that will give you a little more drive to eat healthier foods. And the same rules apply. There's some ways that you can sort of trick your body. For example, for those folks who have like a sweet tooth, instead of eating the sweet, the candies and the pastries, Then eat sweet fruits.
Yes.
Like watermelon, sugarcane, mangoes, papaya. So that way you still get your sweet fix, but you're eating healthier foods. And certainly there are certain things that you can work around, in terms of how you season your food or what you put into your food, that can make it satisfying, but still get the nutrition that you need.
How important is physical activity to what we're talking about today?
Well, super important. It's part of it is diet, and primarily diet, but exercise is equally important. We should all try to get at least 150 minutes per week, or 30 minutes every day for five days a week. And that helps with not just with weight loss, but it helps metabolism. It helps keep your muscles, keep you in tone, keep you in shape. It helps with your sleep. It helps with your bowels. So there's lots of benefits to exercise. So, and I tell folks, you don't have to join a gym or decide on any particular length of walking or running. Just make the effort to get up and move.
Yes.
So when we came in here, the first thing we offered Miss Fontaine was a chair, and she said, "No, I'm gonna stand up." Yeah. That's good, because you're gonna burn off energy standing up. And what you find is that if an overweight or an obese person walks into the room, the first thing that they're gonna ask for is a chair. So just making the effort to move every day. So we tend to get up in the morning. We walk the shortest distance out to get into our car.
Yes.
We drive to work.
Our vehicles get all the way into our driveway.
And we take the closest parking spot to our working place, so that we don't even have to walk probably a meter or two. And then we sit at our desk all day. And then we do the same thing at night. When we get home, we sit in front of the TV or the iPad or the computer. And we don't even we don't even have to get up to change the channel. We use the remote control. So just making the effort every day to just really get up and move. So instead of, taking the closest parking spot, park a little further away from your work location. Instead of, having folks pass stuff to you at work, get up and go to the printer. And instead of sitting down, stand up. So just make the effort to move.
So just before you go, what are healthy and unhealthy beverages?
Water is your beverage of choice. That's probably the healthiest beverage around. We spoke about, we looked at the nutrition label, so you can now determine exactly whether or not a beverage, how much sugar a beverage has, and you now have a little more tips. And like anything else, the stuff that you prepare at home, that you make yourself with, so what fruit you put in it, how much sugar you put in it. That's better than the stuff that you purchase at the store.
Definitely.
Because like you said, there's lots of stuff that when you go out there, you can't even read the ingredients. So you don't, and not only can you not read them, you don't know what they are.
You can't pronounce them. You don't know what they are. It's like, really?
Yeah.
And you're putting this into your system.
Just keep it simple.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one, I know you're just getting out of time, but just some advice in terms of, summer is approaching, many of the children will be home. That's the time parents are still working, the children get into the refrigerator, they eat even more at home. What advice do you give to parents? Because childhood obesity is on the rise. We're seeing it in toddlers, we're seeing it in young children and young adolescents. What advice would you give to mothers, guardians, in terms of how do they curtail, how do they protect the children against childhood obesity?
Well, one of the things I would like to remind parents is that they're in control. So you can determine a lot of what your child eats by what you eat, but also by what you put in the house. So if you don't want them to eat it, then don't buy it and put it in the house. So if you don't want them to eat the cookies and the ice cream and what else, don't put it in the house, because they're going to be tempted and they're going to want it.
And not only are they going to eat a small portion, they'll probably eat the entire thing.
Right, you're not home.
Right.
So you want to surround them with stuff that you don't mind them eating as much of. So lots of fruits, water, making sure that they have regular meals. But don't encourage the snacking by putting the snacks in the house. They're going to want it. So the sodas, no. Don't buy the sodas and put in the house. You have control. Buy the water.
Yes.
They can drink water.
So besides fruits, what are other healthy snacks that parents can purchase?
Well, they can make others. They can make snacks from the fruits. So I prefer our local healthy stuff that we used to make with like coconut.
I know.
Those sort of things. But you can make your own cookies, your oatmeal cookies at home. So those are things that you can either make them, or if you can have them purchased, that's fine. Cheese straws. These are all things that you can make from scratch. That are snacks that are not fruits or vegetables. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one last caller. We'll take that caller. Good morning,
Good morning
caller.
to you, caller.
Yes, good morning, Carlton. Good morning, Pearl, and good morning to the young lady in
Good
studio.
morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I've been good. I'm good. I'm listening to you all, taking my notes. And,
I know that's your thing.
Yes, we all learn from each other.
Yes.
Like she said, a child only knows how something tastes until you introduce it to that child. So no matter how much you have a fast food restaurant in the area, still you introduce them to that food. That's when they have the taste and the feeling for it. But if they never eat it, they would know about it.
Yes.
So we have to watch what we introduce to our children. And about you talked earlier about the white flour and the whole wheat. I've advised people, like she said, it's better if you want to take something healthier is with the whole wheat, because the white flour is processed, bleached sometimes, and it has no nutritional contents in it. So it's just really clogging up your system. And what a lot of people that is doing that's wrong is as far as not being wrong, but water. They don't drink enough water to help a proper bowel movement. And water, remember, and what I learned from one of the speaker, a lecturer in the States, and I was surprisingly, he said that the reason why a lot of our elderly suffers from Alzheimer's is from the young days of not drinking enough water. And from my knowledge, I know water carry moisture and oxygen to the brain. Because you can imagine you depriving yourself for years from your body, depriving your body from that. So when you get at a certain age, at elderly age, this is the end result, he said, is Alzheimer's. So we have to really take heed what we do. We are doing harm to ourselves, which is knowledge is very important. We have to empower ourselves to know. But the water in Dominica, I think all of us have to take a stand, because the chlorine in that water is really doing a damage to us. So if we have to consume water, we have to try to get the spring water, because Dominica have enough natural spring. Thank God for the nature island. Natural springs for us to help ourselves. So I'm listening to your program, and it's very informative, and we'll each and everyone learning from that. And the sister, keep it up. The young people have to know how to take care of the next generation.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much.
Well, this was our last caller for today's show, and we really, really want to thank all our listeners. I got a text from my cousin in Canada saying that she's listening to the show, really enjoying the contents of it. So we know that people are listening throughout, all parts of the world. Until next time, I'm your host, Carlton. Let me say to you, the advice that you were given today, go receive it and begin to apply it to your everyday life.
But I do want to say something though. As you're applying it, Dr. Jolly, what do you think about health journals or food journals? So would somebody make a list of what they're eating and what times?
Definitely, that's the best way to take a look at your diet, because then you can go back, and sometimes we think that we're eating healthy until we do a food journal and we realize we're snacking on junk food all day.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start writing down what we eat, the times
and you
we
monitor
eat
your
it.
food groups,
right? And
if
you
you
monitor
haven't-
exactly what it is that you're taking in. You can do it for, I think, like, let's say 7 days to begin with, and let's start looking at what we're eating and how we can really, really, really make a change.
Definitely.
So enjoy your day, and you were listening to Health Vibes. Before we go, thank you, Dr. Jolly, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Your parents must be so proud of you. You did a fantastic job today. Thank you for being here.
All right. Until next time, I'm your host, Carlton, saying go out and do something good today. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Health Vibes. You were listening to Health Vibes, a production of Jolly's Pharmacy Limited.
Them can't support we. Yet them want this with music. This one is for every black youth to believe in a something. See? No matter what they say, I